What if the Iran war ends? But the real danger only begins afterward. When people think about war, they imagine bombs, missiles, and cities turning into rubble. But history teaches us something far more unsettling. Sometimes the most powerful changes do not happen during the war. They happen after it ends. And if a major conflict involving Iran ever reaches its conclusion, the world that emerges afterward may look very different from the one we know today. The Middle East is not just another region on the map. It is one of the most important centers of global energy, trade routes, and geopolitical power. Any large-scale war in this region would send shockwaves across the entire planet. Cities could be destroyed. Economies could collapse. Millions of people could be forced to leave their homes. But beyond the immediate destruction, analysts believe the real transformation may begin once the fighting stops. Throughout history, wars have often created opportunities for powerful nations to reshape the global system. After World War II, entire regions of the world were rebuilt under new political and economic structures. If a future conflict involving Iran ends in devastation, reconstruction will require massive investments, global cooperation, and millions of workers. And that could trigger a huge shift in the global labor market. Countries with large populations, such as India, the Philippines, and parts of Asia, could become major sources of labor for rebuilding industries, infrastructure, and technology networks. But the future may not only be about workers and rebuilding cities. It may also be about technology. We are entering an era where artificial intelligence, mass data collection, and digital surveillance systems are transforming how governments and corporations operate. Advanced platforms are already capable of analyzing enormous amounts of data. They can detect patterns, predict behavior, and monitor large populations in real time. Supporters say these technologies improve security and efficiency. But critics warn that they could also create an unprecedented level of global surveillance. In a world recovering from a devastating war, governments may justify stronger monitoring systems in the name of security and stability. Some futurists even imagine a darker possibility. A future where advanced technologies, biometric tracking, AI surveillance, and digital identity systems are used to monitor large populations of workers. In such a system, productivity, movement, and behavior could be tracked constantly. To some people, this sounds like science fiction, but the building blocks of such technologies already exist today. Facial recognition, mass data analytics, artificial intelligence systems capable of monitoring entire cities. The real question is not whether this technology will exist. The real question is how it will be used. Another major consequence of a large conflict in the Middle East could involve energy. One narrow waterway holds enormous importance for the entire global economy, the Strait of Hormuz. Nearly 20% of the world's oil supply passes through this route every single day. If this choke point were disrupted, global energy markets could panic. Oil prices could surge, and economies across Europe, Asia, and beyond could feel the shock. This means that even countries thousands of miles away could suffer the consequences of a war in this region. But perhaps the biggest question of all is about power. Wars have always reshaped the balance of power between nations. They strengthen some countries and weaken others. A post-war world could see new alliances forming, new economic systems emerging, and new technological powers rising. Some analysts believe the next global competition will not only be about military strength, it will be about data, technology, and control over the digital systems that manage modern societies. Who controls the data, who controls the networks, and who controls the technology that connects billions of people. These factors may define the balance of power in the future. Of course, not all experts agree with the darker predictions. Many believe technology can also create positive change, help rebuild societies faster, and improve global cooperation. But one truth remains clear. The consequences of a major war rarely end when the fighting stops. They continue shaping the world for decades. And if a conflict involving Iran ever reaches that stage, the aftermath may influence global politics, technology, and economic systems in ways humanity is only beginning to imagine. So the real question may not be how the war ends, but what kind of world will rise from its ashes?